Hi guys, and welcome to our latest SuperpowerUP webinar, How to Boost Your LinkedIn Profile. Before we begin, I just thought I'd introduce myself. So I'm Dan, part of the marketing team here at Red Wigwam, and I run the social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, LinkedIn. If you aren't familiar with Red Wigwam, we're an AI-powered platform which matches people to flexible roles based on their skills and attributes. We provide flexible work for 150,000 workers across the UK. But when we say flexible work, we don't just mean working from home like many of us have been recently. We mean working in a way that fits your lifestyle, picking and choosing job roles which fit around you. We truly believe that the world of work has advanced over the past year, seeing more people not only working more remotely, but also more flexibly. Something that we think has happened around 10 years earlier than it would have done without the many changes that have occurred since the pandemic began. Now, you're obviously all here to learn about something else which is also continuing to change the world of work: LinkedIn. LinkedIn has fast become an incredibly important tool for professional networking, making it the perfect place to reach professionals of all ages and backgrounds all over the world. With 3 people hired every minute on LinkedIn and 40 million using it to search for new jobs each week, it is fast becoming the modern day CV. So, with LinkedIn being so important, we knew we needed someone with a fair amount of knowledge around the platform. Well, today we're delighted to have Alexander Lowe, a social media and LinkedIn expert who has over 15 years sales experience. Alex is at the forefront of understanding the latest AI and machine learning technologies and how they're used in a social context, and now consults businesses on how to get the best out of digital selling platforms. Before I hand over to Alex, I'd just like to mention a few things. Firstly, feel free to tag Red Wigwam and Alex at any point during the webinar across your social channels using the hashtag SuperpowerUp. We'd love to see you guys sharing this webinar across social media. Also, please make sure you have your chat function enabled at the bottom of Zoom so that when we have a Q&A at the end or at any point throughout the webinar, you can ask Alex a question you'd like to. We want to make sure this is as interactive as possible. You should all be muted, but if for some reason you're not, please make sure you keep yourself on mute and your cameras off so we can make sure there's no interruptions throughout the webinar. So it's now time to superpower up. Over to you, Alex.
Thank you, Dan, and welcome everybody. I must say it's interesting to hear you talking about you think LinkedIn is fast becoming the CV place of choice. It makes me feel extraordinarily old, seeing as I've been on LinkedIn for as long as LinkedIn has been around, and I think it's always been seen as a place to find a role and what have you. But no, you are absolutely right that in this modern day that we find ourselves in, it's ever more important that your digital presence. And whilst we're talking about LinkedIn today, actually this applies to anywhere online. And you do need to be cognizant that when people are searching for future employees, I should say, they are searching everywhere. They are putting your names into Googles. They are going into the Facebooks, the Snapchats, the TikToks, the Instas, the Facebooks, the LinkedIns of the world to understand who you are and what you're all about. So today, yes, is very much going to focus on LinkedIn, but do bear in mind, everything you do online now leaves a digital footprint, and that could come to hurt you later on in the day. My background is sales and marketing, 15 plus years in this game. I've been on LinkedIn for as long as LinkedIn's been around. I've spent 5 years in the world of recruitment with Michael Page International before moving into the world of kind of business development and consulting within professional services, so accounting firm, law firm, then commercial property. And then for the last 4.5 years, I've been consulting back into industry. And most recently, I've also joined an AI-powered platform which is looking at how we can distribute content more effectively and more broadly. But as Dan said, please feel free to tag me on any of the platforms out there, and also feel free to chuck any questions in the chat during the session if you want me to go over things and so on. But without further ado, let's crack on and let's dive straight into this. I have no slides because I'm not one for slides, so we're going to go straight into things. Just to give you a bit of context around the world today, this was released today by a gentleman called Simon Kemp. I'll share his details in a minute. He's worth following. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves in terms of digital kind of more broadly. 4.3 billion people are on social media. 60% of the global population now has access to the internet, which is kind of insane when you think about it. 5 billion people with unique mobile phone users. Now, I don't doubt that the audience I'm talking to, this is all kind of second nature to you in terms of the importance of digital and how it is baked into everything that we do. Notwithstanding, there are obviously the potential challenges that comes with that. But those of you that understand this and start to build this into everything that you do today, everything that I'll come to that in a second, Mike. It's kind of what this is all about. But a great question. I'll show you the social selling index, and everybody can click on it. Everything you do today is about building your career for the future to tomorrow. So as I said, I've been on LinkedIn for I think 15 plus years. So when I was putting candidates into entry level roles way back when, but connected with them, they are now in positions of power and influence where they can buy my products and services. And if I hadn't connected with those people, then those conversations would never have started. LinkedIn, in terms of where LinkedIn as a platform at the moment, currently 740 million members around the world. It is the biggest business-to-business social media platform on the planet at the moment. For those of you that are not aware, it is wholly owned by Microsoft. Microsoft acquired them, I think, 5 years ago, with $26 billion. Microsoft's largest ever acquisition, which is interesting because LinkedIn was probably worth $3 billion on paper. But what we're now starting to see is how Microsoft is now building this data into their entire ecosystem. So things like your LinkedIn profile will probably become, those of you who use Outlook, are familiar maybe with the V card, which is your digital business card. My view is that eventually that digital business card will kind of cease to exist, and your LinkedIn profile will be your business card of today and certainly of tomorrow. Will they get to 1 billion this year? I don't think they will, but they'll probably get close to kind of the 800, 900 million mark this year. The other thing to consider, I am unable to show this because I don't have it yet, but you may have seen that LinkedIn recently announced they're bringing some new modes, if you will, to how you can present yourself on LinkedIn. So everything I'm going to talk about the next 20, 40 minutes or so, bear in mind and look out for when these updates come through. So we are moving into the world of the creator economy. You look at what's happening on TikTok in terms of video creation, how video is kind of exploding. 60-second clips, 15-second clips. Those of you familiar with Clubhouse, Spaces, Messenger Rooms is now doing this. So how audio is now starting to really come to the fore. So what LinkedIn is now doing is bringing in video cover stories through creator mode. But this also can be helpful for you as individuals in terms of recruiting, because they will have a recruiting angle. So we can see here, 70% of job seekers believe it's important that recruiting and hiring managers know their gender pronouns. So that can now be added to your profile. You can also activate creator mode. So this then enables you to then record an introductory video so that when somebody lands on your profile, they'll be shown a muted video of what it is that you do, and they can watch that further. So if you are already in a place where you're comfortable in terms of creating video on other platforms, then absolutely, this is something that you need to consider. And the other thing that they'll start to bring out is that those, as we move into more live broadcast, that will start to operate at the top. So with that in mind, Mike, I may as well start there. The way that LinkedIn works is you have something called your LinkedIn Social Selling Index. Every single person has a score. So what we can do is I'll send this link into the chat. Feel free to click on it. So you've got Get Your Score Free here. So if I click on this and then click send. So if you click on that link, click on Get Your Score Free, what this then does is bring this up. So the way that LinkedIn looks at this is across four different areas. So establish your professional brand. That's fundamentally what we're going to be covering off for the main part today, is how you present yourself online, your LinkedIn profile. Now, from my perspective, each of these scores is out of 25, total score is 100. From my view, every single person on LinkedIn, certainly if you're looking to find a role or you're in a client-facing position, you should be at 20. There is no reason why everybody should not have a solid, up-to-date LinkedIn profile. Finding the right people, this is how you search on LinkedIn. So again, if you are looking for a role, I'd expect this probably to be in around the 15 kind of mark. If you're moving into a kind of a sales role as your career progresses, that should start to go up, because that is, you're looking for your next opportunity from a role perspective. Engage with insights. This is probably one of the most important scores out of all in all of this. And this is where the majority of people fall down, because there is this perception that, yes, LinkedIn is a place to find a role. It is an amazing place to find a role, but it's also an incredible place to start and build conversations with people to then find that next role, that next business opportunity. So engaging with insights, that's the likes, the comments, and the posts. The more that you do this, the more that you like and comment on people's posts that maybe you want to work for, get hired by, industries you want to be known in, the more visible you become. So this 15.98, this score, as I said, is really, really important. Building relationships. I'm at 25. I've been obviously on the platform for a while. That score, if you're not at 25, will start to build out as you just start to build your network. This is a living, breathing score, so it's well worth keeping your eye on this to kind of understand behaviorally, am I doing the right thing? However, big caveat, I've got a score of 23.02. But if my LinkedIn profile just talks about cats and barbecue, then mechanically LinkedIn thinks I've done the right thing. But actually, the outcome of what I'm trying to achieve, so in my world, it's trying to generate business opportunity. In your world, it'll be looking to find that next ideal role. It's telling you the wrong thing. So do bear in mind, same principles here, this score of 15.98. Mechanically, behaviorally, I'm doing the right thing on LinkedIn. But if I'm commenting and liking with people that are never going to buy what I do, whilst this score says behaviorally I'm doing the right thing, actually the outcome that I'm trying to achieve is not what I'm looking to do. So, Mike, do you want to share your what your score is in terms of the social selling index to encourage other people? So, what I'm going to go through today will then cover that all through. So, can I have some thumbs up or some yes, I agree in the chat if everybody kind of understands that kind of concept. So, the three things to consider around social and LinkedIn more broadly, there are three main pillars. Your personal brand, so that's the impression that you create. Perfect score is 64, 64 on the door, brilliant. So the thing to consider, personal brand, and as I said, whilst we're talking about LinkedIn, this applies to anywhere that you reside digitally online. that first impression that you create. I know that you all stalk each other on whatever social media platforms you are. You're taking your snaps, you're doing your TikToks, you're going on potential sites for romantic encounters, and you find somebody, and before you even met them, you jump to a conclusion about them. You may well have jumped to a conclusion about me, about that spectacular headshot that Dan very kindly put out on social media for everybody to see, which some of my clients have even commented on. So awesome, Dan! Thank you for that one. Created a bit of amusement for me, nonetheless. But the key thing is, every time someone lands on your LinkedIn profile, so in this way, a potential employer lands on your LinkedIn profile, what they see before they've even met you will lead them to a conclusion about you as a person, you as a human being, what you stand for, what your interests are, and so on. The next piece of this is your network. The more connected you become on LinkedIn, or the more people you are following on LinkedIn, we'll come to that in a second, the more opportunity you have to be seen when you start to do things. Because LinkedIn is like every other, would the employer have access to this score? No, they wouldn't. Is 40 out of 100 a bad score? No, there's no such thing as a bad score on LinkedIn. You just need to start thinking differently, Andrea, about what are the things that I need to do to get that score up. So that just tells me you're not that active on LinkedIn. But there's no such thing as a bad score on LinkedIn. It's around how do I use the score to help me improve this behavior. What you could do in terms of Wendy, I'll just put the link back in again. What you could do though is, by all means, you could share your score with an employer once it, or potential employer, once it gets back up to kind of 60 plus is a good place to be, 60, 70 plus is a good place to be. Then with regards to that, you could share them. Now, bear in mind, sometimes employers themselves may not know what the social selling index is. You can then explain that to them. That can start to then elevate you about what this is all about. The way that LinkedIn works, like every other social media platform, is it has an algorithm. So with the network, if you have 50 people in your network, when you do something on LinkedIn, roughly 10%, we believe is the figure, 5 people will see what you're doing. If you have 100 people, it's 10, 500 people, 50, 1,000 people, 100, and so on. So the larger your network, 63, Wendy, very good. The larger your network, the more opportunity you have to be seen. The final piece then is around the content in of itself. You have a great profile, great network, but if you're invisible because you're not liking and commenting and building conversation, then you're never going to be seen. And that's where this score here, the engage with insights, this is the really, really important one. So with that in mind, let's start on the profile. So what I want you to consider and think about is that your LinkedIn profile is a personal website for you. Back in the day when we could walk down the high street and walk past a shop, think of a window display that was really interesting, really kind of intriguing. You might actually go into that shop and actually look around and possibly buy something. You might bookmark it, you might remember it, and then go and search online. Versus an empty window display, or window display that's a little bit boring, then you probably walk past it and be forgettable. There are 740 million people on LinkedIn, yet when someone is looking at your LinkedIn profile, you are having a one-to-one conversation with them. So talk to them as you would do as a human being. So talk to them that conversational way. So first and foremost, it's things to consider around getting an image up here. I've obviously got the corporate imaging. You could talk to the Wigwam team. The Wigwam team may be happy to provide some Wigwam branding if you want to put some branding up here, but we want an image of sorts. There's a website that I use called Unsplash. This is a royalty-free image site where you could go and find an image which you kind of feel reflects what you do and and then add that to your profile. I'm just going to put Unsplash into the site. Could you also put in the back of your industry discuss for the what would you what? Yeah, yes, absolutely not a problem. A problem at all. Wendy, I don't want to go to Wendy. Sorry, I want to go to everyone. Let's do read. So Wendy, you've got that personal link. So Get an image of sorts. If you're passionate about photography, for example, put an image of one of your photos up there. It could be your hometown from where you're from. Then good professional corporate profile photo. Present yourself as you would do in an interview. Think about those first impressions that you want to create. I do see sometimes people on LinkedIn with their romantic partners in the photo. If you go to business meetings or interviews with your romantic partner, that's fine. If you go to interviews with your pets, that's fine. If you don't have them in your picture. Don't have cropped out images of someone's arm hanging off with a wine glass around the side. All think about those first impressions. You'll notice here, I've got a little speaker. This is a 10-second audio clip where you can introduce yourself in terms of your name and what you do or in your world, maybe the types of roles you're interested in hiring. That has to be recorded on the mobile device. So what you have to do on the mobile device is obviously have the app on your phone. So I'm now looking at my phone now. You see your profile photo on your phone, top left next to the search bar. I click on that, opens up a sidebar. You then click View Profile under your name. You'll then see the pencil. I don't know if I can do, where's my phone? I'm very bad at this. So there's a pencil next to the LinkedIn logo. If you click on the pencil next to the LinkedIn logo, that will then bring you into edit mode. Then you can see View Recording there or thereabouts. That's where you can then record your audio clip. Then when someone lands on your profile, they hear your voice, they hear your tone, and you can introduce what you do. The headline. This is an interesting one because people play this in different ways. So in my world, I talk about describe what it is that you do. So this is what I do at the moment in terms of helping organizations. The way that you could play it is that you could talk about aspiring, I don't know, aspiring barman, aspiring photographer, something to talk about where you want to take your career. Think about celebrating that which makes you unique. The about section, this is your story. This is not the CV bit, this is the story. So what I would advise here, so that in terms of that speaker bit, that's everything I'm showing you currently at the moment is on free LinkedIn. What you want to do in the about section is tell your story. So tell your story, where you've come from, maybe the sort of things that you're passionate about, where you want your career to go, what your interests are. Start to bring to life that first impression of who you are, what you stand for. If you've done charity work, if you are passionate about LGBTQ, BAME, Black Lives Matter, all that kind of stuff, bring this into the conversation so people go, oh, I agree with that. I'm passionate about that. That's something I believe. If you support put my teeth back in, support a sports team, passionate Gunner, passionate Spurs fan. Again, oh, you're a Spurs fan. I'm a Chelsea fan. The game last night. It's that human aspect of the conversation that we want to bring together. Invite people to connect with you. If you'd like to learn more about how I might be able to fit into the future of your business, your organization, I'd love to connect. I add a little bit to the end in terms of where I am. I'm an old individual, so my son and my daughter, the fact that I really enjoy barbecues, skiing, and mountain biking. Middle class, first world problems, I know, but again, it helps individuals go, oh, I enjoy that. I'm passionate about that. Then here, this is the featured section. So this is a great way to promote an article that you might have written, or an interesting piece of research or insight which focuses on the industry that you want to get into. So that if you want to, anything I'm talking about, if you want to add this in, you go to add profile section, then you can add all these pieces here. So if you haven't got the about section, you can add that in there. The featured section is where you would do this. There are two ways you can add things to your featured section. The first thing is that you can go into a post that you have created. So I go to this post here and I click plus and I go feature on top of profile. If I do that, what then happens, we come back to my profile, you'll then see that it's there. So what I'm doing, I'm encouraging people to go to that piece of content or that piece of information. The other thing you could do, you could share something from the Wigwam site if you're not sure where to start. So If I go to, where we go, sorry, Red Wigwam, forgive me team. So what I might do, one of their posts, you can find something here and then share what they are doing. So visit this link just as an example. So this is the link on their website. Perfect. Let's go to the blog post. Right. So if you want to be in this industry, you click this. I do control copy. I then come to here. I click the plus button. I then do click link. Do that. If I click add, that will then appear on my my profile. So I'll do that now. And then click save. And now we can see it's there. So I'll then edit that and remove that off because that's not relevant for me. I'm going to take that one off now while I'm going to remove from featured. So use that as a way to promote conversation and content. Laura, thank you very much. I'm flying by the seat of my pants today and my entire life, it feels like. But also, if you create video content, if you've got interesting stuff, then you can add this in. All different things we can add in here. I said, build that story out. Then in the experience section, I do fully understand that if you're at the start of the career, this is maybe harder, but this is listing the types of roles that you have done. And think about outcomes. Think about what do I want to celebrate in terms of, by doing this save time. I came up with this new idea, this new concept with this previous organization. I'd also encourage you to make sure you're adding the red wigwam. Got this right? Yes. Please forgive me if I'm getting it. So red clean. No. The red. Oh God, I'm going all over the place here. The red wigwam company page here to your profile, because that will then add you. So you could do my candidate or whatever it is. Speak to Laura and Dan for some guidance on this. And then if you type in red, hopefully I can find them. There we go. So connect yourself to the company. That will then help you also network within your within the Red Wigwam community to then work with each other on that side of things and start to build that out. That also then help you start to leverage the wider piece on that side of things. So this is kind of the examples of the sort of things that you do. If you have a podcast, if you're a photographer, if you've done charity work, if you're the member of kind of varying societies, just tell that story. The more content rich your profile is, the more of a story it tells, the more searchable you become on LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile is searchable. Education is key and important, because that goes, oh, they studied at the same college, university as I did. If you didn't have any kind of formal education, that's not a problem at all. Licenses, certifications, if you're certified in anything, add it in here. Start to celebrate what you have done. Skills are important, because skills are also searchable. You can have up to 50 skills on your profile. So if you can fill out all 50 skills, get all 50 skills in there. Literally just click add new skill, and then it will start to suggest ones to you. Go and find the skills that you either want to learn or that you already have, plus the industries that you want to be known for and working within. The final piece, recommendations. Get recommendations from your previous roles that you have worked at to say that you're good at what you do, you're conscientious, all this kind of fun stuff. This is going to stay with you for the rest of your life. You're thinking about building your career as you're moving forwards on all of this. So start to give that some consideration. You have to be connected to the person to ask for a recommendation. I'd always phone them or email them first. You then ask for a recommendation through LinkedIn, and then that goes on your profile. Other thing to consider, you'll note here, I've got a personalized URL. If you haven't personalized your URL, you have your first name, surname, hyphen, a bunch of numbers. So what we can do here, if I come to edit public profile and URL, this is how visible you are outside of LinkedIn, off LinkedIn in terms of search engines. So from my perspective, I want to be found everywhere, not because I'm a narcissist, but because I want to make sure that I'm appearing in every single place I can be found. I have everything on here. Fundamentally, this is your profile. It's up to you. It's your data, but I'd encourage you to have everything public. Here is where you can personalize your URL. So if you can get first name hyphen surname, great. If you can't, take the hyphen out, flip your name, put a digit after your birthday, digit after your birth digit. Yeah, Jason, this is being recorded. I know I'm going at 1,000 miles an hour. This is normally 12 weeks worth of content. I also have a YouTube channel which has got lots of videos on as well, and podcasts you can listen to. So think about personalizing your URL. It looks neat. It looks professional when you're sending your profile through to people. Tell the story. I want to celebrate that which makes you unique. Every single one of you is unique, and that is a positive thing. That's what we want to bring to bear when people meet you for the first time online on LinkedIn. I want them to learn more, want to connect with you, want to find out more. Next thing is around thinking about your referral network. So LinkedIn is it's a large, how can I put this simply? So think of LinkedIn as the biggest conference happening in the world 24/7, and it's free to join. But we then need to go and find what conversations do I need to be a part, or should I be a part of? So if we think about, if I take, so it was the red clean, staffing industry, cleaning industry. So typically that's going to be facilities managers who then might want to hire cleaning staff. So what you can do is if I type in facility manager, you've also got facility manager in jobs, but if I then click that, but I also want to find people who might be in a position to hire, and then I click people. So 2.65 million facility managers on LinkedIn. This is free LinkedIn. I'm doing this in. This isn't premium. I then go to filters, and I would go to United Kingdom, or it could do maybe those in, I live in London, so I click on London, and then I could go first degree, but actually it's second degree, because what I'm interested in who in my network, so maybe Red Wigwam or somebody that you're connected to that could facilitate an introduction. An introduction, we all know, is the best route into starting a conversation with somebody. So, and then I'm interested in the, let's have a look, in the hospitality space, hospital now, or the healthcare space. So I click show results. Now, every single one of you will have a different number here, but I could be introduced to 57 people who might be in a position to hire me. They might be in a position to do this. Then from here, got a number of things that you can do. So let's say that Joe, head of ops, HCA Healthcare. There's some things I can do here. I can click on Joe's profile. Now, Joe hasn't got the gold logo next to her name, so she won't necessarily know that I've done that. I could click on See All Activity. I can see if she's been active on LinkedIn. So she liked this 3 weeks ago. See what's that? Has she posted anything? 6 months ago. So that's within the realms of, you could just like that post. Doesn't matter you're not connected to Joe, but what you're doing is introducing yourself to her. The other thing you can then do, if I come back to Joe, for those of you familiar with Twitter, Facebook, Insta, etc., rather than sending a connection request, I can click more, I can click follow. So this is exactly the same as following people on a platform. She will then get a notification up here that you are now following her on LinkedIn. She then might potentially look back at your profile. Your profile talks about you're looking for your next role, etc., etc. So what you're looking to do is bring yourself into the social proximity of the people who are likely to employ you. So absolutely, work with the Red Wigwam team, forgive me, team, to kind of think about the different types of job functions, operations roles that you might want to. No, she won't get a notification. So LinkedIn doesn't notify on negative stuff, if that makes sense. So if you block, unfollow, deconnect, all that kind of stuff, it's all only the kind of the positive actions that that happen. So start to think of this search bar as Google, and start thinking about the different job titles that you may want to work for, learn from, and so on. The other way that you can network and think about networking through, again, this is free LinkedIn. So if I think of, let's just type in an organization such as Mighty. So if I go to Mighty, which is a facility services company, then you've got these filters across here. So what you can also do, you can look at the posts that Mighty is sharing. If you want to go and work with Mighty, click like. That can also give you some conversation points if you're going to interview. So then go to that exactly. We've got events, all kind of stuff up here. So that gives you insight and knowledge when you're having conversations with these people. When you like that post, all these other people get a notification that you've done that. So lots of other Mighty people there potentially could be of interest. So you're starting to network through those people. So start to think about how you can then network around an organization. You can then also click on people, and in the same piece here, I could type in operations. Here, this is free LinkedIn I'm doing this on, hit operations, go all the way across here, and I can see I'm connected to one person in my first degree network. So I click on that person, and here's somebody I know who works at Mighty in terms of that's where I am connected. Or if I go back one, I've got, I think I had 87 potential introductions. So what this is then telling me is that if I want to get to Adam, I could go to Robert, who I know very well, going, Robert, see, you know Adam, how well do you know him? Could you introduce me to him? This is why I want to have a conversation. Would an employer, a big company like Mighty, would they go and see who else shared or liked one of the comments or they posted? Yeah, the marketing team potentially. But do they keep an eye on that in terms of the company pages? You get that insight, but think of it as much as you're just trying to get the field of view of people, but also just give you kind of those conversations to talk about. The likes and the comments of the conversation start to then drive this score here. That's how you start to move this score up in terms of that side of things. The other thing to then consider is how you can sort of start conversation and get into the different areas of conversation. So if I type in, you're going to be all familiar with hashtags. LinkedIn is no different. So if I do, again, it can be any hashtag. So if I do, let's do hospitality, hospitality management. So I click on that hashtag. 14,000 followers. So follow that hashtag as you would do on other social media platforms. What this then does is bring you into different conversations. So different conversations to talk about. So Mary Peppers, 3rd plus. I'd never normally see her in my network. But what you can then start to do is like and comment on these people's posts if it's appropriate for you to do so, to start to network through and bring that conversation to life. So start, working with the team at Red Wigwam to sort of what sort of hashtags should we be thinking about? Can you help me on that? Think about the hashtags you might use on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram that you follow. Do they translate here into LinkedIn? Go and follow and engage. What LinkedIn absolutely is rewarding the most out of everything are likes and comments and conversation. They're really trying to drive the conversation. The more that you have conversations, likes and comments and engage with this on LinkedIn, the more visible you become, the more likely people are going to bump into you and connect with you. When it comes to posting on LinkedIn, ideally no more than one post a day, max. LinkedIn is trying to crack down on kind of the spamming side of things. So one post a day. What you want to also ensure is give some context. This is the interesting article on X, interesting development in Y. You want to be adding 5 or 6 hashtags to that post. So in this way, by adding hashtag marketing, this then, much like it happens on other social media platforms, brings my post into the potential 20 million new eyeballs into this newsfeed. So if you start to do this consistently, with consistent hashtags of the industries or the areas of work that you want to be in, that's how you can start to move your personal brand into the conversations that you want to be seen. So potentially future employers will approach you. Saw you wrote that. That's really interesting insight. Would love to have a conversation with you on top of everything that the team at Red Wigwam and their clever AI stuff does to help match you to those employers. And even if you're getting matched through their software, which is going to take out the hard yards, people probably still want to check you out on LinkedIn, so they can see you're already creating content, conversation in a professional manner versus those that aren't. Who do you think they're going to lean more towards in terms of somebody that they want to hire? So start giving some consideration around that. And then Dan, I know I'm going over, so final piece. Then your alarm bell becomes the most important part in terms of keeping the conversation going, keeping the conversation around all of this in terms of they did this, react to your poll, if someone comments on your post, make sure you comment back, at least like the comment to acknowledge the fact that somebody's taken the time to do that. The more that you do that, the more that triggers the algorithm, the more visibility your posts gets. But I appreciate that's been a, some might say, a gentle canter through how you can get the best out of LinkedIn. Mike, I hope that answered your first question about improving your social selling score. Do everything that I've just explained. Your score will start to improve. But as they say, Dan, Laura, I will hand back to you in the studio.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Alex. Yeah, a fantastic session there. A quick run through, but an awful lot covered there. So some brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. Just before we kind of end it, really, I guess we should ask if anyone's got any questions for Alex now. Quick kind of 5 minutes or so. If anyone's got any questions they'd like to ask, then fire them into the chat and Alex can always answer them.
Or unmute yourself, get your video screen on. Let's have a look at you.
Yeah, 100%. If anyone would like to. Let me just... yes, we do have this on record, so you will be sent a link to this afterwards, along with a kind of certificate as well, which is something that I'll mention in a minute, but you will be able to add this onto your LinkedIn profile as well as completing this. I think there's one there for you, Alex, from Andrea.
Just a reminder about the last question, what to and not to post. So fundamentally, in simple terms, LinkedIn is, so two questions there. So if you wouldn't want it on the front page of the newspaper or your parents to see it, don't do it. It really is, social media is that simple. The problem with the phrase common sense is that it's not very common. So alcohol on social media is a really, really bad idea, really bad idea. This applies to actually any social media platform you're on. You see it, Twitter, Facebook, Insta, TikTok, Snap. It doesn't, Clubhouse, whatever the next one's coming through that I probably am not aware of. That is your brand. That is what you say. Give an example of that, Andrea. There was Microsoft were promoting one of their sales reps in terms of he was an expert in something on LinkedIn, going to be hosting this webinar. Me being the curious person, because he was in the world that I kind of consult in, checked him out, found him on Twitter. Proud employee of Microsoft, at the top of his Twitter profile, also a gamer and a Spurs supporter. His entire Twitter feed to the public world was effing and jeffing about some game, effing and jeffing about Spurs losing it, yet proud to work for Microsoft. I doubt very much Microsoft want to be associated with that. So what you need to think about when posting on LinkedIn, it's around the god-awful phrase, adding value. You want to be thinking about the types of conversation you want to start in a business professional manner. So if you're not sure, start to watch and listen the types of posts that are coming out from Red Wigwam, from the types of organizations that you want to work with and for, to get a sense. Go and find the chief exec, go and find the CFOs or the managing directors or the owners of these organizations, and get a sense of what it is. Maybe start with a like or a comment if you're not sure on someone else's post. In simple terms, in the broad range, avoid sex, politics, and religion because it is so divisive. I could start out with the most eloquent example of Donald Trump thinks. I'm already dividing the thing. So Andrea, with regards to that, sorry, I think that was you that said, I was sat last year due to COVID, under the decision. I wasn't pleased with it, wanted the network to know about it in a pleasant way. I've been advised not to do it as it was not one. Okay. So I think, and again, yes, COVID has created a balance. everybody kind of knows what's happened. I think if you were to write it in a way that presents the former employer as not basically being uncaring, because COVID has forced organizations into a lot of decisions. They just, it's been taken completely and utterly out of their hands. So what you want to think about is write it, send it to someone that, colleague or a friend, to read it first and see how they think about it. As long as it's done in a professional manner, then in my view, that sort of thing is okay. But what you want to think about, by doing this action, what outcome am I trying to achieve? That's how I would think about it. So going back to the avoid sex, politics, and religion, it's so divisive. However, things like women in diversity, Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, all this kind of stuff is an important conversation. It's okay to have those conversations. You just need to be cognizant that social media does have keyboard warriors. I have started to see some of this seep into LinkedIn over the last 12 months because no one else had anywhere to go. LinkedIn is stamping down on this really, really hard. So if you do see posts that you think are offensive, then report them. LinkedIn's doing with that. I don't mind that, but I just wanted to inform the network I've never bashed my former employer. He's awesome. Cool. So that's, say things like that. It's the person that, my view is it's all the context in which the content is delivered is the key thing. If you're not sure, ask. Maybe go to Dan or Laura. They can give you some guidance on, what they think. Message me. I don't mind. There was a question around premium. So I shall go back up how do you use LinkedIn for a career change if you're at the beginning part of your career? Right. So Paul, is worth the LinkedIn premium paying for it? So in my view, yes, if you use the data it gives you. So when you post something on LinkedIn, it's around, so this had 1,420, anybody can see this, you don't need premium to see this, but this then tells you which news feeds your post has landed in. So this can start to give you some understanding, am I landing in the right place? Of course, I have no idea which eyeballs have seen that post. With premium, obviously you get more emails and ability to message people, but this is the critical one for me, is who's viewed your profile. This is the really, really critical one, because now I understand, am I landing in the right place on LinkedIn? Are the right types of people, so in my world, people that are going to buy what I do, I can sell something to, is what I'm doing landing in the right place? The content, the hashtags, etc., etc. So with premium, I now get to see this. If somebody connects with me, if somebody who I'm not connected to looks at my profile, so Wendy, I don't know if you're on the call, but Wendy looks like an interesting person, I might send Wendy a connection request. Hey, thanks for looking for my profile. Hope you found everything you're looking for. To be delighted to connect. In your world, your potential employers might be looking at your profile, checking you out. If you're not connected to them, you could then, hey, saw you check out my profile, thought you were looking for them. So what you need to give some balance around the cost of premium, I think it's 40 quid a month, versus if that gets me a job paying me X, that £40 a month is actually worth paying it because my salary is now this. If you get premium but don't use the data and the insight that it gives you, then like anything, like anything in life, it's a total waste of time and money. Dan, was that you asking how do you use LinkedIn for a career change, or was that a different Dan?
That must have been a different Dan. Yeah, wasn't me.
So in terms of that, do you mean career change in terms of your career path is moving in a different direction, or you're just changing roles? Because there's kind of two different angles to that. If you're just changing roles, then you just update your profile and you add your new role in here, and then you might want to say a post, delighted to announce that I'm joining X. If you're changing complete career paths, do the same thing, but then give a bit of a story. Had a fantastic run in this world, but I now want to move into this role to give some context as to why you're doing this. So Dan, I hope that answered your question. Now the person needs to pause. So do you pay? I pay, yes. Is worth premium? Is worth premium? Is it? So for me, yes. But hi, Wendy. So yes, if you use the data. If you pay for it but don't use this, then act upon it differently. If you look at it and go, well, those are all the wrong people, and then don't go and talk to Dan or Laura or whomever going, well, what do I do? And go, then it's a waste of money. And I would say this to any corporate, I've got the highest level of premium, which costs me the best part of £1,000 a year, but I don't normally get out of bed for 10 grand. So if I can generate one piece of business for that, £1,000 a year is absolutely complete peanuts, because I leverage the head out of the data and the insight that that it gives me. Sarah, thank you. First comment you said, thanks. Answer my question. I'm great. Thank you. Gives you classes too, right? Yes, I believe so, on various subjects. So yes, LinkedIn Learning is the. See, I've been out of the recruitment game for too long. So you have the whole LinkedIn Learning piece, which you can come to. Some of this is free. So again, this is a great place to go. Or I saw them announce something yesterday about a new update. There's a lot of free resource on LinkedIn Learning at the moment because of COVID. So again, similar to you're getting a certificate from this, Dan, I hope I get my certificate.
Yeah, you will.
You get certificates from LinkedIn, which you can then add to your LinkedIn profile to say I've been. And there's tons of stuff on here that you can do all sorts of very cool and clever stuff. So thank you. You've disappeared now. Whoever, Andrea. Yes, Andrea, you should be leaving. This is not me. On that, go to that. Go and have a play around with that. Any more? LinkedIn Learning is great. You're too kind, Wendy. Cool.
I think.
Woo! Super up.
Yeah, super powered up. There is one more question from Cheryl there.
As a small business owner, am I better to concentrate on my personal profile or my business page? Oh, the $64 million question, Cheryl. The business page is a necessary evil, but it's an important one. So my advice is yes, but fundamentally they're buying you. So you want to do both in tandem. That's where something like a scheduling tool might be able to help you kind of manage that. But yeah, I would encourage you from your business page, if you can post at least once a week from your business page, that's a good thing to kind of tick over, because what you don't want is people landing your business page and there's kind of nothing there. And you do get a bit of insight from your business page as well, in terms of, so this is more, I don't post on this page for various reasons, but you do get some analytics around followers and all this kind of, I don't really play with this, but yeah. So who's following this page, of anybody? 35 followers. I can see who they are, who you're similar to. Here we go. So all these people follow my page. So that gives you a bit of insight in terms of, hey, if they're following my business page, they might be interested in terms of what I've got to offer them. I hope that answers your question.
Brilliant. Great stuff. Any more? I think. Yeah, there you go. Great stuff. No, thank you, Alex. That's it's been brilliant, that. And yeah, as kind of Laura mentioned earlier as well, if anyone does have any kind of additional questions as well, feel free to send them over to myself or Laura or Alex as well. I think there's an awful lot that I've learned myself that I'll definitely be implementing to my profile too. So, as I mentioned earlier,
I'll give you and Red Wigwam a good price.
Yeah. Cheers. But yeah, I think as I mentioned, the certificate that you will each receive after this, well, we'll send that over. You can add that onto your LinkedIn profile, which will be a good way to kind of start and implement something that Alex has given you as a tip. You'll also receive a link to the webinar. So again, if you want to kind of look back on it, take your time, kind of pause and take notes and stuff, you'll be able to do that. And what I've also got is, let me just do that, share that. So here you can kind of see, if I just move that over, you can kind of see I've left Alex's and Red Wigwam socials on there, along with a bit of a better picture there for you, Alex. So yeah, if you do want to kind of share anything from today, or you want to chat with us amongst that and communicate with us, then feel free to follow and like and comment on there. If you are looking for flexible job roles, as Alex has kind of mentioned, then we do recommend you obviously sign up to Red Wigwam itself. We've got a lot of jobs available on the system. You can kind of pick and choose jobs ranging from 15-minute tasks, 3-month contracts, all sorts on there. So get yourself signed up, and there will be lots of jobs available in your area. And also, we will have a lot more webinars coming. So our SuperpowerUP series has only just begun. We've got a lot more to kind of go through, a lot more ideas for webinars that will be coming up soon. So yeah, so just another thank you, Alex. We really appreciate it. And a huge thank you to you guys too for joining the webinar. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, guys. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Dan.
Alex.
Thanks, Laura.
Take care. Bye-bye.